Hi guys. All right, we're continuing here in Unit 9 on circles. Today we are on page 3. Yep, this is page 3. So you should be on page 3, and this is the Unit 9 packet that we're working on this week in circles. Okay, so what we're going to use today is to remember that formula from last unit about the circumference of a circle. So the first thing we want to remember is what is the formula for the circumference of a circle. If you remember it, hopefully you do, it's 2 times pi times the radius. And remember, anytime we're using pi, we're going to substitute it with 3.14. Okay, so we're going to need to remember that. So an arc length is just a portion. This is what we're going to be finding today, is this thing called arc length. And that's just a portion or a part of the circumference. So the way you're going to find it is you're going to do 3 steps, okay? And each of these will walk you through the 3 steps. So the first step is to find that total circumference, again, using the formula 2 times pi times r. Second, you're going to find the fraction of the arc. So you'll have the measure of the central angle divided by 360, and then you always need to reduce that fraction. And then the third step is you're going to take your 2 answers from the first 2 steps, and you're just going to multiply them together. And that's your answer. That's all it is. You're just going to multiply the fraction times the circumference, and that will give you the answer. So let's look at an example, and I'll walk you guys through example number 4. I think it'll make sense. Okay, so step number 1, and I wrote it here, really, this is step 1, step 2, and step 3. Okay, so step number 1 is find that circumference. So I need to do 2 times pi, but remember pi is 3.14, times the radius, which in this picture is 7. So when I multiply that out, 2 times 3.14 times 7, I get 43.96. Then I need to do step 2, which is the fraction of the circle that's highlighted. Well, this fraction, this one, it's this red part right here, that's pretty easy, right? That's exactly 1/2 of the circle. But if I wasn't sure, I would do the degrees, right, that it is, and then divide that by 360. But in this case, it's 1/2. So then to find the arc length, I literally take these 2 numbers and I multiply them together. So all I'm going to do is do 1/2 times 43.96, and I get 21.98. And this is centimeters because arc length has to have our units in centimeters. Okay, so that's really all you're doing. I'll show you example B as well, and then I'll let you try C and D on your own. So same idea here. You're going to find the circumference first. 2 times 3.14 times the radius. In this case, my radius is 4. Type that in my calculator. I get 25.12. What fraction of the circle is highlighted? Well, if I'm not sure, I know that that's a right angle, right? So that's exactly 90 degrees. So I write that as a fraction of the whole thing, and since it's a circle, the whole thing is always going to be 360. So that bottom of your fraction, as you saw up here, was always 360, and the top is just the measure of whatever that angle is. I'm going to reduce that fraction on my calculator to make sure I'm doing a reduced fraction. And now my last step, multiply these 2 together. So 1/4 times 25.12, and I get 6.28. And this is in feet. Okay, so you're going to try C and D on your own. I think you'll do just fine. And then when you get to page 4, it's the same thing, except now it doesn't give you the steps, right? So you're going to have to do the steps on your own. So I'll start number 4 just to kind of go through with you, right? Step number 1, find the circumference. 2 times pi times the radius. Step 2, find the fraction. So I take the angle, divide it by 360, and reduce. And then step 3, multiply these two numbers together. Okay, so you're just going to have to do it a little bit more on your own. And remember those two steps. And 4.19. Okay, round your answers to the nearest hundredth, so that's what I did there. Right, so you're going to have to remember the steps for B and C, and then there's just a couple of problems. Try your best on these two. They're like actual problems in the real world with circles and trying to figure that out. And then when you're done, submit pages 3 and 4 when they're complete on Schoology.